guys have any more questions about firefighting? Yeah, what's your question?
Mommy and me were sitting on the couch, and I looked at the window, and there was a house on fire.
Sometimes there's fires at other people's house, and then the firemen come and try to help them.
Yeah.
And if your mommy and daddy are nice people, they might invite those people in to stay in their house out of the rain. And the firemen are gonna come and try to save the house as fast as they can.
It doesn't always have to be the most horrible, graphic scene to get your attention. Sometimes it's just the one that could have ended badly and didn't. Maybe you were lucky. But looking back in my career, what was missing is learning how to emotionally think through it.
He just pulled the gun out. He just pulled the gun out. He's got the gun out. Hey! Get your hands up! Get your hands up! He just pulled the gun out.
We have an active shooter inside the fairgrounds. Shots fired from Mandalay Bay. There's many people down. Stage left. Just be advised.
Female versus female. 146 block of 24 Avenue South.
A typical day for a first responder is responding to whatever the call for service is, not knowing what that call for service is, so there's stress already, and then getting to the call for service and having to keep your emotions at bay, deal with whatever it is, whether it's a lost child or sex abuse or a murder or dead body, whatever it is, and you go through the emotions. And then before you have time, if you know how to regulate your emotions, you're on to the next call.
I think one of the most important things that we are trying to convey is that you are more of a risk to yourself than the public is to you.
The mental health aspect of this job will kill us faster than the physical aspect.
People that have PTSD, it's real, and people should seek help for trauma because it just doesn't go away.
We work very, very hard to establish our careers, and then all of a sudden people just walk away from it after a bad call or something. And I've often thought, you know, while I had empathy for them and compassion, I actually thought and said, I'm not sure that it's possible for a call to have that effect on me. But I thought I was one of those that was immune to it. As emergency responders, when we are consistently responding to things that are difficult, they're not things that we necessarily consider acute emergencies and things that we're not trained on. And then that wears on us after time. Ultimately, we all have ways in which the job crosses over, you know? It just crosses over and it becomes a part of our lives. Whether we lose somebody from a heart attack or from addictions or something, it becomes relatable. And that day, my work and my life became one.
One thing I have noticed a lot is the psychological trauma. And that's one thing that I can say is very hard to watch. Like seeing my mom come home, seemingly fine, having a good time, eating dinner, playing card games, watching movies, a typical family. And then before I go to bed, I just hear the sobs, the crying. You get this feeling of helplessness, of not being able to do anything. And it hurts. It hurts seeing someone you care about just drag themselves down into a deeper and deeper hole, and you can't do anything to help them because you know it's bigger than both of you.
I think what's lacking too within families is direct support from the agencies in regards to getting them involved in training. You know, bottom line is the officers are going to be going through a lot of things. They're going to be bringing their job home, and for the longest time, it was, oh, don't bring your job home. You know, leave it at home. That's impossible because you're experiencing all these things, whether it's negative, positive on the job, and where are you going to bring it but home? You're going to, okay? Whether you like it or not, you're going to.
We spend tremendous time and energy and resources invested in preparing them physically and through training how to do the job, but not how to deal with the emotional aspects of the job. And it's long past the time that needs to change because we know what the emotional consequences of these jobs are. So there's so much more that can be done early on to train and help prepare people for these careers.
We are not robots, and that we have emotions, and sometimes the calls we go on, we're gonna have a reaction to. And that's normal, and it's okay to have that reaction. And again, it's also for them to know that you may have a reaction, but that reaction is recoverable. And here's some tools and here's some things I can give you to help you recover. When we can normalize sometimes that the calls bother us, it helps, it kind of makes it okay for us. When we bottle and stuff it away and we start thinking, is no one else feeling this way, that we start to see, we start to run into some problems.
To know that it's not a Vancouver issue, it's not a Prince George issue, it's pretty much firefighters or first responders. Really, the ambulance and police are up against the same thing. You know, I think sometimes we take it home with us, and that's where we really need to figure out how to do that better, to take home and deal with it better with our families and our kids.
I was becoming pretty violent off-duty. Aggressive maybe is the better word. Off-duty I was getting into arguments with people, getting to some fights and pushing matches with people. I noticed I had no patience for anybody that bothered me. I had zero patience. And I wouldn't pull my weight to them as a cop. I would just kind of snap and go after them. I didn't think I could carry on as a cop anymore. For me, not seeing a future in that was the scariest thing ever. That was the scariest thing about this whole ordeal.
It wasn't until I was having nightmares and constant nervousness that I realized that I needed to intervene. And no one at work would have had any idea that I was struggling, because when I went to work, I just did my job.
I think people ask for help in different ways. It's recognizing as leaders, peers, colleagues, you know, partners, whatever, that we're seeing the signs of asking for help.
Like I said, I was lucky. I didn't have to suffer with it for a long time. I wanted to make some changes in my life, and luckily there was a place to turn to do that.
Unless you've been there and seen that and heard it, you have no clue as to how that affects you.